Hello, my name is Rachel Yarbrough. I'm an admissions counselor at Lawrence Technological University, which is located in Michigan. I'm going to have a brief presentation about the university today, and then later after the presentation, you can leave questions in the chat room and I'll be able to answer them later on. So today's agenda is a very brief introduction as I gave myself, and then I'm going to give you a presentation, and then as I said, questions at the end. So a little bit about Lawrence Tech as a history. George and Russell Lawrence were brothers, and they founded the Lawrence Institute of Technology in 1932. This was in the midst of the Depression, so many people ask us, why were they thinking of creating a university or an institute at the time when there's so many struggles going on with people in the area. They believed that there was a new technical era on the horizon, and they believed that people should be ready for that, whatever it may become in the next decade or so. They decided that they would open up their first building, which is actually leased to them from Henry Ford across from his Model T assembly plant. And what's really unique is that they offered evening classes. So many people did have to go to work. They could pursue their ambitions outside of it in the evening. And also there wasn't any necessarily, as there's an application process nowadays, it was very different. If someone had the will to learn, they were accepted into the institute and they were able to do it beginning in 1932. In 1955 we moved to our current location, which is in Southfield. It's about 30 minutes away. And then since on, we've been building here since 1955. And then the arrow shows where the actual Model T assembly plant was and where our first location was. Our model that the Lawrence brothers actually created was called Theory and Practice. So many people are wondering, what does that mean, theory and practice? Well, they really thought that, of course, the people who wanted to learn the new technical era and get ready for the coming technology era coming on, they thought that they needed to learn it, but they also needed to practice it. It's very different when you read something, as such as in a lab, and then you can actually practice it. We have many different options for students to actually create this theory and practice, which is very integral still to this day. In the senior year, regardless of what program you're in, across all 4 colleges, you'll be doing a senior project. The senior project can either be a semester or a year long, depending on the major. And really, it's your opportunity to either go by yourself individually with a professor, the group of people, anything that might catch your fancy throughout your 4 years, or your previously 3 years at Lawrence Tech, and you get to pursue it. And then sometimes they'll have presentations on campus, off campus, to show off the senior projects. They also have team projects, which then lead into senior projects. But one of the more popular options for team projects on campus is Blue Devil Motorsports. If you go to our website, you can get more information about our Blue Devil Motorsports, but it's an interesting blend of different engineering backgrounds. And actually, anyone who's really interested in either our Formula One team, hybrid team, we have an aerospace, which has an aeroplane one that's a little bit a remote control airplane. We also have something called RoboFest that's very team oriented. That's more of the computer science, computer engineering side. There's different projects available for students to get involved on campus outside of the classroom. That doesn't include those senior projects. For the practice side as well, we also have a lot of lab studios and real-world applications implemented within the program. What this means is that if you are in the natural sciences, if you're in engineering, if you're architecture, you're going to be in those studios and labs starting the first semester. So you really get to know what it is like to be an architect. You're not just going to learn about it, you're actually going to be in a studio putting hand-on work, working on your art skills, your basic skills, and then from there going on higher on into studios with your professors. And typically, when you go higher up, you're going to have a lot of adjunct faculty, especially in this area. We're outside of Detroit, about 30 minutes outside of Detroit. We have a lot of architects who come in who focus specifically on, let's say, hospitals. We have a lot of engineers who come in who are currently working either at Ford, GM, and they'll teach a specific class that they really know a lot about. So you'll have a lot of hands-on opportunities with people who are either in the academia realm or in the real world application as well. We have students who also do undergraduate research. This can be linked in with Quest projects. What the Quest project is basically when you graduate, it'll be actually on your diploma and on your transcripts that show that you were part of this Quest project. Basically, it gives you the opportunity to do anything you may be interested in. You can dedicate as much time as you'd like. Typically, you'll have a professor or more, as well as sometimes peers, and you can work on anything that you may be interested in. And you can either be research, or it can be something as going into a different area that you may never thought of doing, such as we have an acting program here. Some students wanted to go in there and they wanted to figure out the best way to create one on campus, and they actually created one on campus just through a Quest project. A little bit about Lawrence Tech by the numbers. We're a private university. We have about 4,500 students who attend this university. Most of them are going to be undergrad, so I would say almost up to 35, not almost 4,000 are going to be undergrad. However, depending on what graduate program you're in, sometimes our students are coming in as undergrad and they're continuing on until their graduate program, so sometimes it'll fluctuate. We have students coming from 35 different states and 42 different countries represented. Although we are small, we have about currently about 7 to 8% international population on campus, so you're really going to be broadening your horizons just on campus alone. And we have about a 30,000 plus alumni network either in the area or outside and worldwide. Many times our alumni will kind of give a heads up to students, either professors or our career service opportunities, which I'll talk about later on, for career opportunities, for internships and things of that nature. So what is it like to actually attend Lawrence Tech? I told you more about the physical element, but what is it actually like to be inside the classroom? Students are going to be admitted directly into their major. This means if you want to be an architect, you're going to be admitted into the College of Architecture, and your major will be architecture. If you want to be a chemistry major, you'll be admitted into the Arts and Science building, and you'll be in chemistry. This gives you the opportunity to take classes directly starting from day one into your proposed field. This way, if you really want to know is architecture what I really want to do, if I want to be into chemistry, if I want to do any of the natural sciences, management, you'll have more hands-on, get more of an idea of that way. This really helps and benefits our students. Many times it's throughout all different colleges and universities, people will switch their major. They may not think what's right for them, but here a lot of students will realize, they'll pick and choose what they like, and it's very easy to transfer into a different program if that may be of your interest. Students enroll, as I said, their first semester, so you will have your general eds, which is very common in all community colleges or universities, but then there'll be 1 or 2 classes, and then starting the second semester start to take the directed courses that you'll be really interested in. Our courses are only going to be taught by faculty. This means we don't have any graduate assistants or teaching assistants. That alone, we do have some students who do help out, maybe set up the labs and things of that nature, but they won't be leading the courses. You'll be having professors who are either working within the field, so they have their bachelor's or master's, or their PhD level. We have a lot of our faculty on campus, so you always have the opportunity to go into in the classroom and talk to them, but also in their office. A lot of them have an open door policy in a way where you can sign up a time to meet with them. It's very, very easy. It's very close-knit. And going on with that, in our actual classroom size, it's going to be 11 to 1 student to faculty ratio. This means for one professor, there'll be 11 students typically in a classroom. I know some students are kind of nervous, like, oh, well, 11's not that much. That's correct. A lot of our general education classes may have 30 or maybe 40, depending on the class, and sometimes it actually goes down to even lower than 11. When you get to your higher, more directed learning study, it can be up to 4, maybe even 5. We do have an honors program. Students will be invited to this honors program as freshmen. This will give them an opportunity to take, typically it'll be our general ed classes, some of the math, the science, the literature courses will be in the honors. You typically will have to do another additional project along with it, but you will graduate from the honors program after you complete your studies at Lawrence Tech. What's very, very unique about Lawrence Tech, other than other universities, that we have a customized laptop program available. On the screen, you'll see that we have our 4 colleges listed, and we have 3 different pictures of our available laptops. So how this works is students will come in, they'll pay $500 deposit, and you basically get a computer that's going to be preloaded, as you can see, with all of the programs listed for your specific major. Depending on your major, they'll actually, if you're in the arts and sciences, you won't have, the Revit and the AutoCAD that maybe you'd prefer. You can always go to the help desk, which is our computer help desk, and they can always load it on. Sometimes they'll actually have a fee that's a little bit less of a cost for students. They can actually go there, they can download it as well. But they upload those and they update those every year. It says Microsoft Office 2012. They actually have the brand new one this year for the 2014 available for students. So you can always go up there, upload the most up-to-date program. So you're really going to be, when you leave Lawrence, you're going to have the most up-to-date, and you'll have actually experience because you'll be using a lot of these programs within your classroom as well as your projects. We have another saying at our university is leaders in the making. We have an integrated leadership curriculum that's a little bit more unique for our students. You take a class, it's maybe the first 2 or 3 years, and then the last one would be a capstone. Your senior year will be more of a capstone you can take on any different way. You usually can, it's more free for your interpretation how you want to take it. But what it is you really are going to go out, you're going to do a lot of service learning if you are interested, but it's really going to get you ready for your time on campus and outside the classroom as well. Other opportunities for our students, as I said, we have service learning opportunities. Some students had an alternative spring break a few years ago, and they went to Haiti, but sometimes they go to Habitat for Humanity in different states for alternative spring break. We have a lot of study abroad and service abroad. Our study abroad, they go from everywhere to England. We've had students who've gone to Italy, Paris, Germany, but really if you're interested in anything, we've had some students who have gone to Mexico. There's some people who have been to a different specific university within the UK. We have an actual office available, so if you have an idea of where you want to go, let's say Australia or New Zealand, just for an example, you can always talk to them and they can try their best to find something that suits your needs and what you would like to do. A lot of our service abroad opportunities, as I said, we do have the Habitat for Humanity, the alternative spring break. But we also have the opportunity to teach English in China for 3 months, 3 weeks within the summer. So students, when they're off campus for the spring and fall, they have the opportunity to really get more hands-on experience through a different way. I actually did the service abroad in China, and it was a fantastic experience, and I also studied abroad for 4 months. A lot of students are very nervous about going abroad, but we have usually agreements, so you'll make sure that you take a lot of your classes there. In Florence, they have actually architect studios available, so for people who are in architecture who are kind of nervous about throwing off their flow chart, think that they'll have to wait another semester to graduate. That's not necessarily true. They also have studios available in Paris as well, which were shorter programs. So it's always an opportunity, and a lot of our students take advantage of that so they can really see architecture or culture from a different area, and for either a short period of time, such as maybe 3 weeks, or for 4 months for an entire semester. As I've spoken previously, we have 4 colleges: architecture and design, arts and sciences, engineering, and management. Now, I'm not going to sit here and explain every single major. That'd be crazy. It would be super hard. It would be super long. It would be longer than an hour. But I'm going to just briefly explain some of the interesting aspects about our university and our specific colleges. We're one of the largest college of architectures in the state of Michigan, and we're one of the top 10 in the United States. As you can see, we do have a lot of students, when they think architecture and design, they only think of architecture, but we have a lot of other more design elements. We have game art, graphic design, interaction design, interior architecture, and transportation design, which is one of our more popular programs and one of the most successful programs as well for our students graduating from. They get a lot of hands-on experience. You'll see on the screen it has their stars next to architecture and architectural engineering. We have a unique program for both. Once you graduate from high school, you can enter architecture, and you can actually go into our 5-year master's program. So what this means is you'll enter as a freshman, but you'll be technically considered as almost a master level student, meaning when you come here, instead of spending 6 years, let's say, for undergrad and master's, they've integrated so you kind of cut a year short, and you're actually just going to have it for 5. Architectural engineering is unique. It's not a bachelor's program. Technically, it's a master's program. But students who are freshmen who are graduating can enter this program, but you'll leave with a master's. For those programs, you can, specifically for architecture, you can choose a bachelor's, but a lot of our students like to do the master's route because they're really familiar with their professors and they kind of know the experience, and it'll only be an extra year. The College of Arts and Sciences has a broad amount of programs. We also have pre-professional programs as well for people who are interested in dental, law, or medical school. For medical and dental, we do have advisors, as well as pre-law. We have advisors for all 3. It's not going to just be an advisor who's maybe never done it before. It's either someone who's either gone to law school or someone who has gone through the process of applying to law school or medical school. All of our natural science programs are going to have you certified for all the programs you're going to need to actually enter a med school, dental school, or law school. What's very nice is that our professors are going to be hands-on, so you have an advisor for your program, but then you also have an advisor for your pre-professional program. As you can see, we have a wide range from chemical biology, chemistry, we have English, humanities, mathematics. So a lot of students will take their Quest projects through the Arts and Science program. a college, and they could be in architecture, but they'll go through the arts and sciences, because it would be something more of the literature, social sciences, or sciences that may be interested for that student. The College of Engineering, as you can see, we have the architectural engineering in there as well, and it's very unique because it's going to be combining architecture and engineering. But as I said, I'm not going to explain everything, but our more popular programs are going to be civil, electrical, mechanical, but we have a very unique robotics engineering program that's going to combine mechanical, electrical, and computer engineering. It's very unique. We also have a RoboFest on campus, so we have a high interest in robotics, and a lot of our teams, we have a team sports, I guess you say a team project, with the possibility to have an autonomous robot to actually participate and go into events for community, for universities and colleges all across the United States. A lot of our master's programs can go on for a bachelor's, so a lot of our students will continue on after, which is fantastic. We also have a lot of lab opportunities especially for our civil engineering, which is down at the bottom. We have the structural testing lab, but for all our other engineering opportunities, we have like an alternative energy lab, which falls underneath the for mechanical engineering, and we have the opportunity for a lot of students to do hands-on. We have pictures online, and if you are interested in actually visiting campus, you can actually see the labs more up close and personal. And our College of Management, we actually had the business administration program, and now they're having 5 different concentrations within the program. Depending on what you may be interested in, you'll graduate with a bachelor's in business administration with a concentration in accounting, finance, information technology, and so on. As we also have a major in information technology as well. So very much like all other universities, there are going to be specific requirements for freshmen. Very common, we'll have to fill an application online, or they can submit the common application. We accept both. We'll need an official high school transcript, and we'll recalculate the grade point using academic courses only. This means we're not going to look at, wood shop, we're not going to look at gym, we're going to look at your math, science, foreign language if you've taken it. It's not a requirement, but we do look at it. We took your math, science, literature and courses. We look at the core only, and then we'll also look at your ACT and SAT scores as well. Your essay and letter of recommendation is also included, so a lot of times students will do the common application just because everything's in one bundle and it's easier to send out. However, you can always submit your documents through mail by yourself or apply online. What's more unique about some of our programs, such as game art, industrial design, and transportation design, is that we'll require a portfolio. This portfolio, there's more information actually underneath the 3 disciplines. You can actually see the examples that we've had of students in the past have submitted. It's very like 10 to 15 images. It depends on what it is. It doesn't have to necessarily be only for game art. They just want to have more of an idea of what your artistic eye is. And what's nice about the College of Architecture and Design, which is for all majors, and I'll talk about it briefly in a few moments, will be about the scholarship opportunities we have for our portfolio as well. So when we review an application for it to be successful, we look at the essay, letter recommendation, the test scores, as well as the grades within the classroom. We're also going to look at the grade trends. If you're taking AP classes, accelerated classes, honors classes, this will also help benefit your application process and when an admission counselor reviews it. So when you actually come to campus, you've been applied, you've been accepted, and you're attending, we do have a great program for our first-year students. It's called First Year Experience. There's different activities that are going to be involved. We have Discovery Days, which is 2 days prior to the actual semester beginning. And this is where you'll meet your peers, or you'll have some sophomore, juniors, and seniors who will also be leading, who are currently at Lawrence Tech, so you can get more of an idea of what it's like to be on campus. As well as when you come here for the first year, you might be out of sorts. Do what do I do when I have an issue with my roommate? What do I do if I want to drop a class? You'll actually be assigned a male and female mentor. They'll be sending out emails throughout the first year. You can talk to them almost about anything. They're basically going to just be your point of contact if you don't want to actually ask your mom or dad or ask a professor or someone, a faculty member within the university. You'll have someone who's living on campus who's experienced a lot, and they'll be able to help you along the way and ease your transition into Lawrence Tech. Also, what's nice is we have midterms posted for our first-year students, so you can kind of get an idea of how it's going on the first 2 months of class, see where you're struggling, see where you need to improve. For our transfer students, I know that not many students are going to be for transferring in currently on this presentation, but we do look at our 30 credit hours or more, and sometimes we have students who are dual enrolled within their high school experience. So we do look at transfer credit. We look at colleges, universities. If you're inside Michigan, at any other community colleges, university, or colleges, we already have like transfer credit evaluations online, so you can actually look at transfer students on our website, and you can get an idea of what will transfer over. If you're outside of outside of Michigan and you've taken some dual enrolled classes, or you have taken a few classes and you want to transfer in, you just need to submit your official transcript, very similar to your high school transcript. These need to be official, and you'll also need a SC and letter of recommendation. And regardless of what place you're entering in, you're going to need to submit a portfolio submission for the three that game art, industrial design, and transportation design, the majors I listed before. So once you're already accepted, we have a lot of opportunities for students to ease themselves in before they actually come to campus for orientation registration, which I'll explain in a second, and actually start classes. We have an online community called Connect Blue. It's actually run by a lot of our students who are currently working in our office. They'll upload different blogs, see what they're doing inside and outside the classroom. Sometimes they will have questions online or have a forum for students to talk, and sometimes you do win a free stuff for it, so different awards. That's very nice. But also, you'll also be able to sign up for university housing once you're accepted. We have 2 dorms on campus. We have north and south housing. Again, we're a little over 100 acres. We're not a very large campus, so we have our dorms, one's exactly on campus, one's just across the street from our main area. So we have about 550 to 600 students can live on campus. So a lot of students like to plan ahead, sign up early, and then you'll fill out an application, and we kind of liken it to an eHarmony kind of application, meaning you're going to fill out, get more idea of who you are, if you're a morning person, if you like to stay up later, if you have any different tolerances, if you need to live by yourself or with a smaller amount of people. That's an opportunity to fill it out, and they'll match you with the best possible person who has similar aesthetics as you. For our placement assessment and orientation registration, is very similar to a lot of different other universities and colleges. Orientation registration typically starts for people who are coming in the fall for their first time. It'll happen typically in June. At the end of June is when our first O&R will begin. That's where you actually register for courses, and you'll meet some students. We have orientation leaders who will be students who are currently on campus, and so you can always ask them questions about classes or what it's like on campus, what to get involved in, etc. So the actual bare bones, what is the cost to attend the university? As I mentioned previously at the beginning of the presentation, we are a private university, so it will be a little bit more expensive than some public institutions. So on average, if you're going full-time for a full year, it'll be $29,000. And then if you include housing rates, it depends if you're living with a 2-person or 4-person, and that's just the averages, because housing in north and south housing will be different. That can range between $3,600 to $5,200. And you also need a meal plan, and I'll talk about that in a little bit more about our campus meal plan. But you can estimate what it would be like. We do have a lot of students who choose to live off campus, and they'll live in apartments or houses nearby, because Southfield is more of like a business city. There's a lot of subdivisions in the area. We also have cities that are closer by that are a little bit more bustling, so if you want to live more in a closer area that way, you can do that as well. It's really up to the student. So when you actually submit your application, you'll be submitting, as I said, your transcript as well as your ACT or SAT scores. We look at the ACT and SAT for possible merit-based scholarships. There's no additional application to fill out or anything. As long as you send in an official transcript and your official scores, then you'll be considered for our freshman scholarships. And how we actually reward them will be based on your GPA. It'll be your highest level, so we will look at your course trends and everything, but we'll look at your GPA, and then we'll look at your ACT and SAT, and your SAT will only be math and critical reading only. So starting at a 3.0 and a 24 on the ACT and or a 1090 on the SAT, we offer scholarships for $6,000 and up for 4 years. Sometimes if you are in those unique positions where you're in architecture or architectural engineering, it's possible to extend those scholarships as well to your 5th year, but it really just depends. You'll have to work with the university to receive those scholarships. Very, very easy to do. So a lot of students also, when I'm giving presentations, will ask, what is outstanding? What does outstanding mean? Outstanding really just is based on the pool of applicants that year. So they'll look at it at the beginning of the year. So in the next few weeks or so, they'll start looking at it to see who'll be considered for the Buell Honor, which is a full ride. So as you can see, you can kind of deduce that you'll at least have a 3.8 and at least a 31 on the ACT or so. So you can kind of look to see, and it really just depends on the pool. And it also depends on how much they're going to award. Sometimes it's 1, 2, or 3 students. Last year it was 1, but it may change in the future. Transfer scholarships are very similar as well. If you're a dual enrolled student in high school, you're not going to be considered transfer scholarships. You'll be considered for the merit-based freshman scholarships. But if you're interested, we do have 3.0, and then if you're transferring at least one class in, it'll be a $4,500 all the way up to $13,000. So again, as I said, we are a private university, so sometimes people kind of get nervous about how they're going to pay for a private university, what's going to happen. We do have a lot of additional scholarship opportunities other than the merit base. The merit base is only going to be given for the 4-year span, and you can always increase it if you, for instance, increase your GPA or you increase your SAT or ACT score. That's always possible. But we also have scholarship competitions for Michigan students and out of the state students as well. The Michigan one is actually coming up very soon. I'm actually in charge of it, so I'll be looking over essays, and we'll also have a competition at the end of February on the 22nd for students to come, and they can actually participate and win up to an additional $4,000 for their Lawrence Tech education. We also have the portfolio scholarships, as I said, for game art and interaction design and transportation design. They do require the portfolios. However, if you are applying for any of our College of Architecture and Design programs, you can be considered for those scholarships. And they actually have examples online of past winners. So you can really contact also the College of Architecture. They're very helpful if you have any questions or concerns about what to submit for your portfolio. That's eligible for our freshman students who are coming in. The transportation design actually administers their own portfolio scholarship, as well as FIRST Robotics and the power engineering. That will be really up to the college that it falls under, and you can get more information by calling our admissions office, or you can go online. They actually have typically they'll have the application online for those. Those are the only ones you're really going to have to fill out more information about to actually receive the scholarship. We do also have athletics on campus. There'll be a slide coming up. They'll talk more about what we offer, but our athletic scholarships really do range. There's not a specific amount. It depends on what your interests are, what the coach is looking for, and really the coaches, it's up to their discretion to figure out what will be given to you. But we have a lot of opportunities available for students outside of merit-based scholarships. So a little bit about our student services. I'm not going to talk about all of our offices, but what's really nice on the right, that is the building, the Taubman building. That's actually the building I'm in right now, giving this presentation. I call it the Student Services Center because we have every single office under the sun that covers and experiences with all students here. I will point out that we do have our career services, which is what a lot of our students use to either find internships or co-ops and sometimes jobs after they've graduated. It's very integral because a lot of students will get co-ops and internships during their time at university, and they'll actually have mock interviews, they'll have job fairs here on campus, once if not twice a semester, so you'll have opportunities not only to look online, look at our database, but you'll also meet them, potential employers, on campus as well. So when you leave with an actual degree from Lawrence Tech, you know, you graduated after 4 years or maybe 5 depending on the program, so what's it like to be out there? 88% of the students who graduate from our university are employed within 6 months after graduation, or they're also going on to higher level, whether it be PhD level or master level programs. And this is in comparison to the 55% national graduation job rate after 6 months. So our students are getting jobs. A lot of times it does come from working during their time at Lawrence Tech. Sometimes students will have opportunities during the summer to do internships or co-ops outside the state or inside the state. But as I said, we have about 350 jobs are going to be posted through LTU job database. And 200 companies are going to actually recruit on campus, and that was just our last year's figure. Well, 2 years, I guess, technically now. But they'll have the new one updated very soon for what we had this fall. Fall is very, very popular. We had about 2 or 3 job fairs. So we have students who are getting jobs, and we have students who are As I mentioned, we have North and South housing. The one that's all brown that has about 9 floors, that's going to be south housing, and then we have our northern housing, which is a little bit newer. But both of our residence halls are unique. It's not going to be just one small room and you have to share with everything. It's more apartment style. Typically, you'll have 2, 3, and 4 students who will be living within with your room. It's not going to be it's not very common for one student to live by themselves. Um, However, again, as I said, it's apartment style because, for example, in North Housing, you'll have a washer and dryer within your room. You're not going to have to bring any beds or anything like that for either of them. It's all given to you. And typically, you'll have a roommate, as I said, when you fill out the application, so you can actually hook up with them and see what they're going to bring. We do have dining options available. We do live in a business city, so we do have a lot of places that are nearby that are very easy to get to. However, we do have real food on campus, which is our cafeteria. It's more buffet style, which means you go in, we have specialty plates, but we also have like a salad bar at all times, sandwich bar. They have a really good pastry chef, I know that for sure. And you can go in there basically at your free time whenever you like. If you like more meal plans, you can do that, or you can do something called Blue Devil Dollars, which is a little bit different. So you have your meal plans, and then your Blue Devil Dollars are going to be going towards your Provisions on Demand, your Einstein Bagels, and your Jets Pizza. What this means is our Provisions on Demand is basically, we shorten it to POD. They have like things from Starbucks coffee to Lunchables to hummus to anything that you need to grab on the go. Same with Einstein Bagels, and then Jets Pizza delivers here on campus. So there's different opportunities available. However, what's nice also, because you're living in apartment style, you'll also be able to cook within your apartment. You do have a microwave that you can bring in order to have it available, but they also have an oven there as well as a fridge. So it's not going to be you having to be reliant on the meal plans the entire time. So athletics is actually rather new. We used to only have 3 sports, and now we've grown to have many, many more. We do have scholarships available. However, we don't have scholarships. The only one we do not have scholarships for is for hockey, unfortunately. But for all of our other listed athletics, as well as our dance team and pep band, they have opportunities for scholarships. Again, it's going to range depending on what program, but if you're interested, you can go to bluedevilathletics.com. You can actually see what our current athletics are doing, as well as you can get more information. There's a sign on there that says recruit me. You fill it out and you can get in contact with a coach that way. I know for many of them they'll have kind of open days. I know that men's hockey has a prospect skating day. Every so often it comes up, so you can come skate with the people who are currently on the team, meet with the coach, and see if it's the right fit for you. For fall of 2014, we actually have golf and tennis going to be implemented into the university. So if you're not really into athletics, which is very common for students, maybe they don't want to do that or they don't want to commit to that level for whatever reason, we do have a lot of student organizations and activities on campus. We actually have over 70. This really varies for special interest, cultural, professional. We have Greek life, honor societies. If you're not really, I know that Greek life is a little bit different depending on what campus you're on, but we are smaller, so we're a lot more close-knit for the sororities and the fraternities. It's an excellent way to make contacts, and it's a lot different than the portrayal in movies or TV. So a lot of our students are more into philanthropy. They're more interested in doing service projects, and they're very interested in cooperating with other fraternities and sororities on campus. So a lot of them will hook up for different events to actually benefit either Lawrence Tech or people outside of Lawrence Tech. We do have professional organizations as well as honor societies. Actually, sometimes each college will have their own honor society and or is actually a specific area. So you can always be invited to the specific college that have an honor society or professional organization like AIS, which is our architecture students are very, very involved in that organization. We have cultural organizations ranging from we have an actual week dedicated to all our international students so they can really showcase what their culture is like so our students can understand. We also have some special interest groups. But one of our more popular ones on campus is Students Planning Activities Monthly, or shortened to SPAM. It'll have free events on campus for all of our students, as well as free food, which is always a plus when you're in college. And they do anything from magicians to showing movies that are more recent. They'll have an entire welcome back week when you first come to campus. They'll have a few musicians come on campus. We had Vanilla Ice, which was really cool. I mean, it may have been really cool, but we had a few other bands that come on campus, and they'll play for us as well. So there's many different opportunities. Also, because we are smaller, if you, for example, are really passionate about something, for example, we had a student who really wanted to bring in lacrosse a few years ago, and they went to the Dean of Students office, which is where you can go to talk with our Dean of Students, as well as we have free counseling services there as well. But this student wanted to go and start a lacrosse team. He had a passion for it, and he wanted to start it, so it kind of started off as a club, and now it's actually part of the NEIA. So it's kind of grown from slow interest to actually becoming an athletic presence on campus. So it's very, very nice. A little bit more about university for the recognition of excellence slide. Our earning power for our bachelor's degree, as you can see, we have 88% of our students are going to be enrolled in a master's PhD program or full-time position 6 months after graduation. So it ranks in the highest 7% of all universities. So a lot of students are getting jobs either right out, or they actually sometimes have jobs when they're still or have a presence of an idea of a job when they're currently here. So it's our degree wields power. We're in the top tier of the U.S. News and World Report's America's Best Colleges. We're a GI-friendly school. We're one of the top 50 unwired campuses, and it's a big plus for all the students on campus who are going to have a laptop through that program. We actually have a mechanical engineering professor who is Michigan's Professor of the Year, and he still works here, so you can always work with someone who's a little famous. That's pretty nice. And we also have a State of Michigan Center of Excellence for Sustainable Infrastructure and Structural Testing typically for our civil engineers. They work on that, and it's been well renowned. We have a lot of MDOT, which is part of the roads, basically, who work here in Michigan. They actually have a connection, so a lot of students will get on campus experience, but they'll also be able to do it later on, either through an internship or co-op. So if there's any questions, it doesn't seem like we have any currently that I can see, but I won't talk too much longer. But I know a lot of students are very nervous about, what is it like to be off campus? I get that question a lot. It is rather small, but we're not necessarily in a rural area. So we do have Southfield, which is more of a business area, but we're not too far. We're about 30 minutes from Detroit. So if you're interested in any of the big three, for example, or if you're interested in the Red Wings or the Lions, or if you want to go and see a live performance, we have a lot of concerts as well in Detroit. It's not too far. We have Royal Oak, which is a little bit more of a smaller city, but it's where a lot of students may live, and or it's only about 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes from campus, not even. A lot of different concerts and ideas to do there as well. I always know that students are kind of always worried about what way to, what should I look for in a college? What do I know what's right? Because there's so many different types. There's over 4,000 colleges and universities in the United States. How do I choose the one that will be for me? I know for our students, a lot of them really like the small classroom sizes, the 11-to-1 student-to-faculty ratio. They really get to know their professors. And a lot of times you'll have the same professor for different classes from sophomore, junior, and senior level. So that's really nice. You get to know them one-on-one. You get a lot of connections through those professors, a lot of opportunities to do research and or get input on what you're doing within the classroom. I know it's very good because you get to know them, but it's also kind of bad in a way because they get to know you for one-on-one, so they're really going to push you. So they really do know your face and they know your name, and so you're not really going to just scrape on by getting in like a 500, sea of people. It's going to be 11 to 20 or 30 people in a classroom, so they're going to know you right away. I know that students really are interested, well, can I live on housing? How is it? What if I don't want to live on housing? As I said, our north and south housing is very close on campus. However, we have a lot of students who technically they commute, but really they're living less than a mile away from campus in houses and apartments. So it's opportunity if you don't want to technically live on campus, you want to have a little bit more of your own. When you get older, if you want to be sophomore or junior level, you can always live off campus as well. I'm going to wrap it up, but if you have any questions in the future, we are on College Week live today on January 9th, so if you have any questions, you can always chat with the admissions counselor, or you can visit www.ltu.edu. We have all of our information online, but you can also contact the Office of Admissions and talk to someone specifically over the phone if you have any questions. So thank you for your time, and have a good day.